Countdown 2012 to the final leg of the referendum scam to secede is on. And filling a separatist gap, former Liberal leader and Rhodes gang member Michael Ignatieff is the new Gilles Duceppe. Michael has taken up the old secession campaign trail where Marxist-Leninist Maoist Gilles Duceppe left off before he was turfed by a landslide of Quebecers a year ago today on May the 2nd, 2011. Happy anniversary, Gilles. I hear he's still living in the old campaign bus, clinging to the dream. Just to recap, on June the 9th, 2010, Gilles Duceppe used federal government letterhead to notify the world, quote, "Everything indicates that in the next few years, the question of Quebec's sovereignty will once again be put to the people. At that time, the international community will be called on to recognize this new country," unquote. However, 3 years earlier, in 2007, a secret meeting amongst hundreds of elected officials from Canada, the USA, and Mexico convened in Banff, Canada, to complete the illegal, meaning unconstitutional, annexation of Canada to the bankrupt USA and that little narco state to the south, cha-cha-cha, Mexico. Gilles Duceppe's year-long pre-referendum campaign ended in a cross-Canada tour to urge all the provinces to, quote-unquote, secede. Does anyone not see the connection between a convenient referendum to convert Quebec and then all the provinces of Canada to so-called independent states in the nick of time to be refederated under a continental EU-style Politburo? Obviously, Quebec is being used by the federal government and friends like Duceppe and Michael Ignatieff to pull the ripcord on the final descent out of Canada. Now, Michael Ignatieff has told the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation, let me get violins for this.
The problem here is we don't have anything to say to each other anymore.
Calling all divorce lawyers, leap into your ambulances and rush to Quebec. Referring to the 1995 referendum, Ignatieff said to the BBC,
and it's a kind of way station. You stop there for a while, but I think the logic eventually is independence, full independence.
Ignatieff made these declarations in the context of an upcoming Scottish referendum to separate from the UK. More importantly, he made them in the countdown to our own upcoming elections in Quebec, surely to be used as a battleground to destroy Canada from within by those who have planned and need to launch the North American Soviet Union. Ignatieff is blatantly lying to the BBC. This is clear because Quebec voters destroyed the separatist federal Bloc Québécois and its leader Gilles Duceppe less than a year ago in federal elections when Duceppe rolled out his plans to take Quebec out of Canada. The Bloc's provincial counterpart, the Parti Quebecois, is also on the skids. Its leader, Pauline Marois, married to an oil tycoon, is practically on life support. What's that old joke about Castro? He died decades ago, but they prop up his corpse and move his lips to address the nation. Significant PQ members have been diving overboard like rats from the proverbial sinking ship. Since when does the disintegration of two so-called political parties, including a federal one, at the hands of the voters, not indicate that the public who threw them out rejects their platform? Let's see, when has something like this happened before? Oh yes, Quebecers threw out separatist André Boisclair when he said he was going to hold a referendum and seek international recognition for the new country of Quebec. The crucial fact is, the separatists and the separatist parties whom Quebecers routinely destroy are not real grassroots movements. They are not majority platforms. They are elitist minority enclaves artificially set up by phonies, financed by multinational corporations, and who care nothing for Quebec, the French-Canadian race, or French-Canadian culture. All they care for is their own power and money. Among them you will find millionaire communists who attempt to exploit the gullible working class to hand over personal sovereignty by destroying their lawful governments. They are opportunists banking on stirring up a Quebec-based nationalism so they can use it to destroy all of Canada for corporate fascist globalism. Michael Ignatieff is not the first so-called liberal, i.e. phony, to schedule a referendum to secede. Quebec Liberal Premier Robert Bourassa did it for real in 1991 when the separatist Parti Quebecois lost an election. In the face of recent massive rejection of separatism, the globalists yet again drafted one of their own out of one of their other parties, Michael Ignatieff. Because Liberal, NDP, Conservative, Bloc, PQ, and now the CAQ. You name it, the globalists own them all. All of these so-called different parties sent speakers and representatives to the Model Parliament for North America, organized by the North American Forum on Integration. And this again is how we know that former Liberal leader Michael Ignatieff is lying when he tells the BBC that Quebec is inevitably becoming fully sovereign. In 2005, a Liberal senator, Céline Hervieux-Payette, launched the Model Parliament for North America in the Canadian Senate. In the opening ceremony, this traitress declared, quote, "The world of nation-states, inherited from the treaties of Westphalia of 1648, seems to be fading in the West. First economic, then financial, and now political integration of the countries of Europe gives a strong signal that a new style of regional governance is the way of the future." Unquote. In addition, when Liberal Prime Minister Jean Chrétien's nephew, Raymond Chrétien, former ambassador to the USA, Mexico, and France, delivered a welcome speech as honorary president of the Continental Model Parliament, he declared, quote, "It is my pleasure to welcome you to this first Model Parliament of North America, organized by the North American Forum on Integration. After the North American Summit held in Texas last March, it is apparent that further cooperation between the three countries is necessary. The creation of a North American Parliament is something we will have to consider in the near future." Unquote. The North American Summit he was referring to is the SPP, the Security and Prosperity Partnership of North America, implemented on the pretext of 9/11, quote-unquote, terror. Ignatieff, being a former so-called liberal leader, would know these facts very well. He would know there is a continental parliament planned. He would know, as the phony liberal senator said, the nation-state is fading in the West. Actually, it isn't fading. It's being hijacked by organized traitors. In such a circumstance, one would hardly be creating a new nation-state out of Quebec. One must therefore ask, what is it that they are really doing when they claim that Quebec is going to become fully sovereign? Phony Ignatieff would also know that the whole idea of Quebec quote-unquote secession was dreamed up in 1967 by millionaire communist Pierre Elliott Trudeau on a secret committee of Power Corporation, and that it has always been a gunpowder plot to blow up the Parliament of Canada, which bars the way of the globalists to an EU-style regional dictatorship. This has been Crazy Talk News by Crazy for Canada, animated by Crazy Talk 6.